balanced entertainment with education, creating programming that satisfied both secular and religious audiences. The special's spiritual content influenced subsequent holiday programming to address deeper themes. You think you know television history? The decade when Nixon resigned and disco died gave birth to more revolutionary TV concepts than the entire previous 20 years combined. Welcome to the era when 3 networks ruled the airwaves and 10 ballsy pilots rewrote every rule in the game. The Jeffersons, 1975. George and Louise Jefferson moved on up to the East Side, but their backdoor pilot on All in the Family almost got squashed by network panic over racial content. Producer Norman Lear pitched a black family ascending to wealth in Manhattan's Upper East Side. Television had never seen anything like it. CBS executives nearly choked on their martinis. A successful black businessman openly confronting white neighbors? The network demanded script rewrites that would tone down George's attitude. Lear fought back, threatening to pull the entire project unless they aired his vision intact. The gamble paid off spectacularly. The backdoor pilot drew 30.2 million viewers, proving America was hungry for stories beyond suburban white families. That iconic theme song hook, we all know the words, became the anthem for upward mobility itself. The Jeffersons ran for 11 seasons and 253 episodes, making it one of the longest-running sitcoms in broadcast history. Budget breakdown: $125,000 per episode in $1975, with Sherman Hemsley initially earning $15,000 per show. The real shocker? Syndication deals eventually generated over $600 million in revenue, proving that representation wasn't just good politics, it was gold-plated business. 9. Columbo, 1968. Before Peter Falk became television's most beloved detective, Prescription Murder was just another forgettable TV movie on NBC's Tuesday night lineup. The network wanted a traditional whodunit. What they got was a revolutionary howcatchem that flipped the entire mystery genre on its head. 2 pilot movies preceded the series Prescription: Murder in 1968 and Ransom for a Dead Man in 1971. Network brass initially rejected the concept. Why show the murder in the first 5 minutes? The genius lay in watching this rumpled, seemingly bumbling detective systematically dismantle perfect crimes through pure psychological warfare, Falk's trademark raincoat. A last-minute wardrobe choice that became iconic. The murder scene that hooked America. Dr. Ray Fleming's elaborate airplane alibi in the pilot, unraveled by Columbo's relentless just one more thing approach. The success of both pilots prompted NBC to create the NBC Mystery Movie Wheel series, which became the anchor of Sunday night television for 7 seasons. Production costs: $400,000 per 90-minute episode. Astronomical for 1971, yet Columbo episodes averaged 25 million viewers, generating advertising revenue that made executives stop complaining about budgets. The show's influence? Every modern procedural from Law and Order to House owes its DNA to Columbo's inverted storytelling. The Carol Burnett Show, 1967. Wait, this variety powerhouse technically launched in the 60s, but its game-changing format pilot established the template that dominated 70s television. Burnett proved that women could anchor variety shows as successfully as men, creating a more intimate connection with viewers than ever before. The original pilot featured just Carol and a handful of unknowns in a bare-bones studio. CBS executives demanded traditional variety show elements: big-name guests, elaborate sets, orchestra numbers. Burnett countered with something unheard of, breaking character mid-sketch and laughing with the audience. The show's ability to consistently break the fourth wall and include viewers in the fun revolutionized variety programming. Network research tests showed audiences felt like they were watching friends having fun, not a polished production. The moment that defined everything, Tim Conway's elephant story causing Harvey Korman to completely lose it on camera. That unscripted laughter became the show's signature. The show featured groundbreaking performances and incredible dance numbers that influenced pop culture for decades. Budget reality, $125,000 per episode in 1967, but syndication deals in the 80s generated over $200 million. The Carol Burnett Show won 25 Emmy Awards and spawned the entire performers breaking character trend that Saturday Night Live would later perfect. Saturday Night Live, 1975. When NBC's Saturday Night premiered on October 11, 1975, with George Carlin as host, television production in New York was already in decline. The Tonight Show had departed for Los Angeles 2 years prior. Dick Ebersol and Lorne Michaels pitched live sketch comedy to network executives who thought the concept was insane. The original title was NBC's Saturday Night because ABC already had a program called Saturday Night Live with Howard Cosell. The pilot episode was pure chaos. Muppets segments bombing, musical guests Billy Preston and Janice Ian performing to a confused audience, and sketches that ran too long. Lorne Michaels even appeared on camera 4 times during the first season, including offering the Beatles $3,000 to reunite on the show. The sketch that changed everything, Weekend Update with Chevy Chase, introducing news parody that became a cultural institution. John Lennon and Paul McCartney later admitted they were watching from Lennon's apartment and briefly considered actually going to the studio, but decided they were too tired. Production nightmares. NBC gave them Studio 8H, a converted radio studio that had hosted Arturo Toscanini. Initial budget, $300,000 for 13 episodes. The gamble? Saturday Night Live has aired 988 episodes since its debut and became one of the longest-running network television programs in the United States. Advertising revenue in 2024, over $200 million annually, proving that live television wasn't dead. It was just waiting for the right rebels. All in the Family, 1968/1969. Norman Lear purchased the rights to British series Till Death Us Do Part and created not one, but 2 pilots that ABC rejected before CBS finally took the risk. The first pilot, Justice for All, filmed in 1968, featured Carol O'Connor as Archie Justice, not Bunker. Network executives panicked after the disaster of ABC's Turn On, a show so controversial it was canceled after 1 episode. The second pilot, Those Were the Days, filmed on February 16, 1969, again starred O'Connor and Gene Stapleton, but with new actors playing Gloria and her husband. CBS programming executive Mike Dan called it the goddamnest thing I ever saw. The show broke ground by introducing challenging and complex issues into mainstream network television comedy: racism, anti-Semitism, infidelity, homosexuality, women's liberation, rape, religion, miscarriage, abortion, breast cancer, the Vietnam War, menopause, divorce, and impotence. The scene that terrified networks, Archie's opening rant about coloreds, delivered with such authentic bigotry that test audiences didn't know whether to laugh or cringe. The series' opening theme song, Those Were the Days, was presented uniquely for 1970s television. Carol O'Connor and Gene Stapleton seated at a piano, singing together on camera at the start of every episode. Production costs soared to $85,000 per episode, but the show became the #1 rated series for 5 consecutive years. All in the Family's pilot episode consistently rated below average in research tests conducted by both ABC and CBS, yet it became one of the most acclaimed shows in television history. The real breakthrough? Making television tackle social issues that previous generations of programmers considered untouchable. The Mary Tyler Moore Show, 1970. Mary Richards wasn't just a character, she was a cultural earthquake. The pilot introduced television's first never-married independent career woman as the central character. CBS executives demanded rewrites that would make Mary either divorced or widowed. Creators James Brooks and Alan Burns refused, insisting that Mary's single status was the entire point. The pilot contains the most famous job interview in TV history, with Lou Grant telling Mary Richards, "You've got spunk, I hate spunk," before hiring her anyway, marking the birth of the workplace as family sitcom. Network research showed audiences were confused by an unmarried woman who wasn't desperately seeking a husband. This workplace family concept was rarely depicted on television in the early 1970s, despite visible successes of the women's movement. The moment that hooked America, Mary telling her ex-boyfriend she's not coming back, choosing her independence over safety. The pilot's job interview scene became a classic in comedy timing, with Edward Asner's performance as Lou Grant being particularly brilliant. Budget breakdown, $75,000 per episode, modest by today's standards, but hefty for 1970. The show won 29 Emmy Awards and spawned 3 successful spin-offs: Rhoda, Phyllis, and Lou Grant. Cultural impact. The Mary Tyler Moore Show didn't just entertain, it gave an entire generation of women permission to put career before marriage, fundamentally shifting American attitudes about female independence. Shock to 4. MASH, 1972. Larry Gelbart's pilot adapted Robert Altman's 1970 film into television's first successful anti-war comedy during an active war. The Vietnam conflict was still raging when MASH premiered on September 17, 1972. CBS executives worried about alienating military viewers and demanded the show avoid direct Vietnam references. The pilot episode introduced techniques borrowed from Altman's film, including overlapping dialogue and multiple storylines, revolutionary for television at the time. After its first season, the show ranked 46th of 86 shows in Nielsen ratings and was in danger of cancellation. CBS saved it by moving MASH to Saturday night between hits All in the Family and The Mary Tyler Moore Show. The scene that changed television, Hawkeye's operating room monologue about the absurdity of war while saving lives, balancing comedy with genuine pathos. The pilot's lottery subplot to send Ho-Jon to medical school established the show's blend of humor and humanity that would define the series. Production innovations. Unlike other sitcoms filmed live before studio audiences, MASH was filmed either at the Fox Ranch or on sound stages, allowing directors and screenwriters to experiment with narrative formats highly innovative for its time. The gamble paid off. The series finale became the most-watched television episode in U.S. history with 125 million viewers. MASH proved that television could tackle serious subjects while still entertaining, paving the way for every dramedy that followed. 3 Happy Days, 1972. Before Fonzie ruled the airwaves, Happy Days began as a simple segment on ABC's anthology series Love American Style. While set in the 1950s, Happy Days defined 1970s television with its nostalgic look at American life, creating the modern concept of the breakout character with Fonzie. The original segment featured Ron Howard and other unknown actors in a story about teenage life in the Eisenhower era. Gary Marshall pitched the full series to ABC after the segment received positive audience response. Network executives initially resisted. Why would young viewers want to watch a show about their parents' era? The show's success led to numerous spin-offs and proved how television could use nostalgia to comment on contemporary issues while providing family entertainment. The real breakthrough came when Henry Winkler's Fonzie character exploded in popularity, transforming from supporting player to cultural icon, the moment that defined a generation. Fonzie snapping his fingers to start a jukebox, establishing cool in a way that transcended the show itself. The pilot segments tested through the roof with focus groups, leading ABC to fast-track production. Budget magic. Episodes cost only $185,000 each, but merchandise sales generated over $500 million during the show's peak years. Happy Days ran for 11 seasons, spawned multiple spin-offs including Mork and Mindy, and created the template for nostalgia-based programming that continues today. The cultural impact? Jumping the shark entered the language, but Happy Days proved that sometimes looking backward was the best way to move forward. Number 2. Roots, 1977. This groundbreaking miniseries forced America to confront its history of slavery through the story of Kunta Kinte and his descendants. ABC executives nearly shelved the project, terrified that audiences wouldn't watch 8 nights of difficult historical content. The pilot episode opened not with network fanfare but with warnings about mature content. Producer David Wolper fought network demands to soften the slavery sequences. ABC pushed for a more balanced portrayal, suggesting storylines that showed kind slave owners. The series changed everything about how television viewed its potential, proving that audiences would engage with challenging historical content. Focus group testing was disastrous. White viewers called it too intense, while black viewers worried about historical accuracy. The scene that stunned America, young Kunta Kinte's capture, and the horrific middle passage sequence, shot with documentary realism that television had never attempted. The pilot episode drew 36.3 million viewers, despite airing on Sunday night against established competition. Production costs reached $6.6 million, staggering for 1977, but advertising revenue topped $30 million. The miniseries became a cultural phenomenon, forcing conversations about race and history that America had been avoiding for decades. Roots didn't just entertain, it educated an entire nation, proving that television could serve as both mirror and teacher. The Bob Newhart Show, 1972. Bob Newhart's deadpan psychiatrist Bob Hartley redefined situation comedy through the revolutionary concept of the normal protagonist. Bob Newhart played psychologist Bob Hartley, the perfect straight man to a group of eccentric patients, with Suzanne Plachette as his wife Emily. The pilot broke every sitcom rule: no physical comedy, no outrageous premises, just intelligent conversation. CBS executives initially rejected the concept, demanding bigger comedy and more conventional setups. Creator Lorenzo Music insisted that the show's strength lay in Newhart's reaction to absurdity, not in creating absurd situations. Network testing showed audiences didn't understand what made the show funny. The breakthrough came when CBS programming chief Fred Silverman recognized that Newhart's understated style was actually revolutionary. The moment that changed comedy, Bob's first group therapy session, where his patients' neuroses revealed more about human nature than years of traditional sitcom plots. The pilot's poker game sequence established the show's signature: intelligent adults behaving authentically while comedy emerged from character, not circumstance. Budget efficiency. Episodes cost only $125,000, but the show's sophisticated writing attracted upscale viewers that advertisers coveted. The Bob Newhart Show ran for 6 seasons, influenced every workplace comedy that followed, and proved that television audiences were smarter than networks assumed. The real revolution? Making normal the funniest thing on television. So there you have it. 10 pilots that didn't just launch shows, they detonated the entire television landscape. Which forgotten theme song still owns the inside of your skull? And did we snub your favorite breakthrough that started it all? Drop a comment and school us on the pilot episode that changed your world. Because in the 70s, every great revolution began with someone crazy enough to say, "Let's try this instead."